Hi guys, welcome to DTM's Reef, and today we're going to be reviewing the Evergrow IT2060. So this is the IT2060. It's the 2-foot version. You can get it in a 2040, which is a smaller unit. You can get it in a 2080, which is the 3-foot unit. And you can get it in a 2120 at the time of purchase. You might be able to get different ones now, but when I purchased this, they were the main choices. The only difference was the size. So you had the 2040, 2060, 2080 and the 2120, which were the 4-foot version. I opted for the 2060, the 2-foot version, because I am only running a 3-foot bow-fronted tank. This were all I needed at the time. I was using the stock T5 fixtures. I got the tank from a friend second hand, and I had no idea how old the T5 bulbs were. I think they were about a year and a half old, and I read, first thing I read when I came to the hobby, if you're using T5s, then ideally you should be changing your bulbs every 6 months. Now, when I worked out the cost implications of that, I just thought, why not get an LED unit? I know that there's a few people that were having reservations about LED units, how long they last, do they do the job? They were relatively new, but my main reason for buying an LED unit was that I would never, theoretically never have to change it. Obviously if I was going to upgrade to something better, bigger, I'd have to upgrade it, but as far as keeping this tank going, I would never have to change the bulbs, and they claim to last over 10,000 hours, which is longer than I was intending to even have this tank running, never mind this unit. The unit comes in black only. It's got a nice display on the front, a nice LCD display. It's not, admittedly, it's not the best looking unit when you compare it to the max spec Razors and the Ecotech Radions and the Kessels. It's not really as aesthetically pleasing as them type of fixtures, but it is a lot cheaper. This cost me £209.99 from UK Marine Lighting. You can get a Pro Reef version which incorporates UVs and a few more blues. I just went for the standard version. It did what I needed, and that was all that I needed, so that's what I got it for. Now when I put this unit on, I was amazed by the difference between the T5s upgrading to this. I was running my T5s for 6 months. I had a Duncan coral, a torch coral, a hammer, a few zoas, and a few softies, and nothing was growing. It was opening, it was surviving, but it wasn't thriving. I had one Duncan, the Duncans that you've seen on my previous video. That Duncan had one head when I bought it, and under these T5s the head was getting bigger, but that was it. It wasn't splitting or anything like that. The head was just getting bigger, and it was getting ridiculous. And I was reading up, and I read that it was actually searching for light. So it was either change the bulbs or buy these. I bought these, put them on. 18 months later, that one-headed Duncan has been fragged twice, and it's now got over 40 heads on it. So that tells you everything you need to know. SPS, I haven't really delved into SPS. I've got one SPS frag. Have a look on my last video. I'd love an ID on it. If you can give me an ID on it, comment or email me, or post on my Facebook page, DTM's Reef. Let me know what it is. I'll put a picture on there as well. But yeah, back to the review. I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry about that. If I do that, never mind. So back to the review. It incorporates 2 fans. They're not that quiet. When they seem to ramp up when it gets to about 20%. I'll have to double check that in a minute, but they ramp up, and when the fans are running full, they can be quite loud. If you are watching TV you might be able to hear them, but you could quite easily open the unit up and replace them with some quieter computer case fans with relative ease. No problem with that. It's just the screws around the side, the top lifts off, change the fans, and job's a good one. Now, the unit incorporates 4 natural lights, 14 cool lights, 2 greens, 2 reds and 2 violets. It also has 24 royal blues and 3 blue moonlights. It's got 90-degree lenses. You can get these changed to 120 if you wanted to. Mine, I've got the 90-degree lenses on. I'm quite happy with them. It looks fairly simple when you look at it like that. It's got a nice perspex screen. It's got a nice perspex screen. It is quite bulky, it is quite heavy. It's uses 120 watts, and it does come in the box, which I don't have anymore unfortunately. It does come with a hanging bracket. It connects, the hanging brackets connect onto the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you can hang that from the ceiling or a bracket or however you want to do it. Okay, I didn't do that. You can also buy a stand, so it's the metal connects on and it goes on the side of your tank. I didn't opt for that because I wanted to keep the lid on my tank, so I did a bit of DIY, which I'll show you in a bit. I got a drill and a saw, and I cut a hole, jigsaw, cut a hole just smaller than my lights, and I just sit my lights on top of my tank. It was the easiest option. It reduced light spread in the room where in the kitchen. It used to be in my living room, it's in the kitchen now. It reduced the light spread and it were an easy alternative. I were never going to keep the tank, so I thought I might as well chop it to bits, because after I finish with it I won't be using it. Okay, so I'll give you a quick round of the light. So that's the back, that's the top, side, so you can actually see how thick it is. Now that looks ridiculously thick because of perspective, but it's not as thick as you think. It's about 3 inches thick. You can compare it to my finger. It's not actually that thick. It is a lot bulkier than the Radions. It is a hell of a lot bulkier than the Luminaires and the Razors. Other side, exactly the same, nothing different. You've got the back, little sticker there for your warranty, obviously void if removed, but be fine. And the front, which is LED. So I'm going to blind you all now and turn the light fixture on. Okay guys, so I've turned the light fixture on, it's in, and I'm sorry that I'm about to blind you all. I'll actually turn it slightly to the side so it's not pointing at the camera, so you can see it a little bit easier. So we've got channel 1 and channel 2. Now channel 1 is the blues, channel 2 is the whites, the reds, the greens. Yeah, and that's it. So channel 1 is the blues, channel 2 is the colours. I call them colours, okay, or the whites, whatever you prefer. So we've got channel 1, that's on number 1. So that's just your moonlight, that's the lowest setting that the light goes, and that's, you could have that on all night if you wanted to. Some people have moonlight on all night, I turn it completely off, but that's the lowest that it goes. Now basically from 1 to 9 it stays on just the 3 bulbs. As soon as you go past 10 it turns into the blues, which is all the blues, not just the 3. So if we ramp it up, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10. So all the blues, sorry about that, all the blues are now on, as you can see. So you can see it on the wall here. That's quite a good example actually. I'll move to the side. So we've got all the blues are on, and the blues go all the way if I hold it up, all the way to 100. Now when you're programming these lights, if you just tap the display or tap the arrow, it goes in increments of 1%. If you hold it, it goes in tens. So that's going down in tens now, all the way to 0. Okay? White. Now the white setting is slightly different. You don't have your 3, it's all the lights from 1 to 100. So we'll start off number 1. So that's the whites on number 1. I don't know if you'll be able to see all the bulbs if I turn them around, if you can see the greens and the reds. I don't think you can see me anymore, but it's probably a good thing. Greens, the reds, the violets and the whites. Okay, we'll spin it back round. Sorry about blinding you. And I'm just going to go up in increments of 10 so you can see the brightness. So that's 100%, right? Now I'm not gonna blind you, but that's 100%. Okay. Now that might not look very bright, but it is very, very bright. We'll go down. All the way to 0 again. So this unit does come with a remote. I don't know what you guys think. If anyone owns one of these and has the remote and likes the remote, let me know in the comments. The remote itself, it's simple. You can see the buttons on there. It's simple, it's easy to use, but it is absolutely pointless for my use. What I use this light for, that is pointless because it sits on top of my tank and this remote only works when it's about that far away from the light. I might as well use my finger and turn it on myself. I expect it's more useful for people using the hanging kit because if you've got it hung, you touch it, it's going to swing. You don't want your light to swing, so you can use the remote. Great, I understand that. If anyone uses the remote and likes the function, let me know if it's just my remote that's rubbish or whatever. I've tried changing the battery, it's still if I hold it bang on infrared, it's infrared, old technology. If I hold it a foot away, it works from anywhere. 2 foot away, I've got to be straight on. Now, when I bought it, it says it works up to 10 feet. It doesn't work up to 10 feet. It might be my remote, let me know. Okay, so the remote, it's nice and simple. As you can see, all the buttons on it, it's relatively simple to use. Basically, all the buttons on there are the same as what's on there, so it's just no different. It might as well be like that. All the buttons are exactly the same. Okay, we'll put that down. So, another cool feature about this light is it does come with presets. You've got Moon, which is your 3 lights. You've got Cloudy, which puts your blues and whites on 50% each, and then you've got Sunny, which puts everything on 100%. I would not recommend anybody to use these presets other than the Moon, if you wanted to use Moon just to have it on Moon. I wouldn't use it on these settings because it's too bright. If you put it on 100, it's too bright. Unless you've got a very deep tank, it's too bright, in my opinion. Cloudy, 50-50. The lights, if I'm honest, don't look brilliant if you've got the white channel higher or equal to the blue channel. It looks too yellowy. Now, it's not just my water or my rock, because I know a few people that have got this light fixture. I've seen loads of them on the forums and things like that, and theirs is exactly the same. If you put it on just the white, it looks really yellow. Now, this light uses Bridgelux LEDs. A lot of people say that they're second rate, they're not as good as the Radions and such that use the Cree LEDs. I can't compare that because I've never had anything with Cree LEDs. One thing I will say is when I get my Reef 350, which will be coming on a video in a couple of months, I won't be using this fixture. I will be using a combination of 2 XR15 Pros from Ecotech Radion. So that's what I'll be using, basically, because I want more spread, more depth, greater power levels, because it's a massive, it's a bigger tank, or it's a massive tank for me. It's 4 foot. This is fine for this tank. I might use it to do my cycle process on my new tank while I save up, because you need a small mortgage to be able to buy these Radeon lights. So we'll see how that goes. But this has done me brilliantly. 18 months, fantastic. It cost me $209.99 and it's lasted 18 months. I can't ask any more than that. If these lights were to break tomorrow, I wouldn't feel like I've been overcharged. I wouldn't feel anything like that. I'd be happy with what they've done, because all my corals are absolutely thriving under these lights. Even my little SPS frag, no idea what it is, but it's thriving underneath these lights. All the fish like it. I've had no problems. I have had no algae blooms or diatom outbreaks or anything by switching to these lights. But then again, I do keep my parameters in check, regular water changes. The only thing I do allow, I know I shouldn't do, but I've neglected my tank a little bit because I'm upgrading. On the left hand side of my tank, which is next to a wall, I don't need to see through there, so I've let a little bit of algae take hold. But my sailfin tank and my foxface, one-spotted foxface, both love that wall. There's a big bald patch on the wall where they've eaten it. I'll show you in a bit. But these lights are great. Anyone starting out, you're on a budget, you can't afford the Radeons because otherwise you'd have to scrimp on other things like skimmers, stuff like that. These lights are perfect for you. Absolutely fantastic. You can pick them up second hand. I'll be selling these soon. Don't know how much yet, but I'll be posting it on when I am. But they're great. It's okay. So let's show you them on the tank. Okay guys, so I've got my lights back on my tank. As you can see, it just sits on top. I've cut a hole in the top of my lid that's just a little bit smaller than the light itself. You can see it there, and it just sits on top of there nicely, no problems, and it looks okay. It's not the best looking thing in the world, but it sits in my kitchen, and at the moment it's doing its job of keeping my corals alive. That's all it needs to do at the moment. Just adjust it. It does its job at the moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run you through my daily cycle, okay? Just for everyone to know. What I'll do is I'll go through the cycle first and show you how it ramps up and down, and then what I'll do is I'll zoom in like that on the times if it focuses, and I'll go through them so that you can see what my actual cycle is. So if anybody's got these lights, they can copy my cycle if they want, because it works for me. Now my cycle, see, I have to hold the remote pretty close, otherwise nothing happens. Let's see if I can hold it straight. Yeah, it's not too bad now. You see, it's calling me a liar now. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that display, but my lights come on, the blues on 5% at 11 o'clock. That's 11 AM. The reason I have it coming on so late on the morning is because I only wanted to have a certain amount of hours in my cycle, and I wanted it to still be pretty much on full whack when I come home from work at 5 o'clock. So I started it a little bit later rather than starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, because by the time I come home from work it's ramping down, and I want to see my tank and all my corals when it's nice and it's all open and it's all going. I'm sure you can appreciate that. So that's 11:30, so half an hour increments it goes up in, and that's gone up from 5% to 10%. 12 o'clock, 15%. 12:30. Now the whites have just kicked in here now, so we've got the blues on 20% and the whites on 5%. The blue channel on my lights is always higher than the white, because I think that the whites on their own look rubbish, and I'll show you that in a minute when I've finished. So that's 20% on blues, whites on 5. So we've got 25 and 10, 30 and 15, 35 and 20. Now remember, this is half an hour increments and we're on 2 o'clock already. 45 and 25, 55 and 30, 65 and 40,
75 and 50 and 75 and 55 at 4:30, and 5 o'clock is exactly the same. That's because I wanted it to be on full. When I come home from work, that's what I see. Now, I have had the lights off the tank, so everything has shut down a little bit. For some reason, I've just noticed that my power head there has stopped. It's probably stuck, so everything looks a bit still. My torches aren't moving and stuff, but I'll sort that out in a minute. Okay, so, and then from 5 o'clock it goes back down to 70, 50, 65, 40, and we're ramping down every half an hour. We're ramping down by 5% or 10% on each channel, nice and uniform as it did it when it ramped up. And then the blues come on by themselves at 2100 or 9 p.m. 5%, we're down at 5% at 9:30. There's no point in me going from 15% to 10% to 5% on the blues late at night, because I'm going to bed, and to be honest, I don't think the fish care by this point. I think they're going to bed as well. And we got out at 4 and then 1, and that's just the moonlight, if you can see it, but that's just the moonlight on at 10:30 at night, and that's that. And then we're off. So that's it. At 11 o'clock we're off. So my lighting schedule finishes at 10:30 and starts at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we're just shy of a 12-hour cycle. And I'll go through it now just so you can see it. So if anyone wants to have a look, they can do. If I zoom in, hopefully it shouldn't be affected by light. Okay. Right, so 11. Okay guys, so if anyone wants to copy that, I'll post it on my Facebook page. Have a look, and you can see exactly what I have my lights on. Or you can just slow that video down and have a look for yourself. And that's it. Keep my remote up there so I know where it is. And this is my tank as it stands. Let's have a quick look round. Yeah, another thing I've just noticed there is my Harlequin shrimp. I haven't seen him in about 5 days, and he's suddenly come out to play. If I can zoom in on him, there he is. And I just wanted to go into this again. This is the toadstool that I won in the competition. The prize was provided by BB2 Marines in Blackburn, thanks to them, and the competition was run by Cheap Frags. You can find them on Facebook, just search for Cheap Frags. Plenty of activity on there. It's a really nice group of people. There's loads of advice, anything you need, post it on there, join the group, and you'll be answered straight away. You know, no one's funny, everyone's nice. I just want to give them a big shout out, and thanks a lot to them. But that's it guys, thank you for watching my video and my video review on the IT2060. I know that I went off on a bit of a tangent. I showed you around my tank. I've talked about the way that I've mounted it. I know it's not necessarily a part review of the light, but it's how I used it. It's a user review. But this light I could not recommend any more than I already have done. It's brilliant for the price. You won't find a better light for the price, in my opinion. So let me know what you think guys. Give me some comments, give me some likes, give me some subscribes. Like my Facebook page, give me some comments, and just give me some feedback. Send me an email if you want. Let me know what you want me to do in my next video. My next video was going to be about my sump and my filtration. But let me know what you want me to do, any advice I can give you, feeding schedules, anything like that, and we'll talk about it in the next video. Thanks a lot guys.